In this first episode of the new year, I'm going to be sharing with you 3 little finished objects, including some adorable red mittens that I knit for Angus for Christmas, and my Socks by Christmas socks, which weren't really knit by Christmas, as well as the progress I've made on my Fisherman's wool top-down pullover, and I can't wait to share the progress that I've made and some changes that I've made as well. So grab something cozy to drink, possibly your knitting, and let's get started. Hello, and welcome to episode 67 of the Wool Needles Hands Knitting Podcast. My name is Taylor, and I will be your host. In today's episode of the podcast, I'm going to be sharing with you a few finished objects and some progress that I've made on my top-down Fisherman sweater. I also want to share with you the winner of the Wool Needles Hands Socks by Christmas knit-along that we kind of started spontaneously a few weeks ago. But before we dive into any of that content, I want to get a few admin things out of the way. As you know, if you are a returning viewer and subscriber, I am the owner and dyer of Fiber for the People yarn. The next Fiber for the People shop update, the first of 2023, is going to be this Saturday, January 7th at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. You can learn more about Fiber for the People by heading over to Instagram and checking out @fiber.for.the.people. All of this is linked down below in the description box. Definitely sign up for the newsletter on the website so you can be notified anytime I have a new shop update. All of that information is on the website and on Instagram. Also, if you are a newsletter subscriber for the podcast and the YouTube channel here at Wool Needles Hands, which you can easily do by heading over to woolneedleshands.com. The newest edition or the newest issue of that newsletter is coming out today if you are watching this when it goes live on Sunday, January 1st, 2023. That will be kind of my rundown of December 2022. So you'll look for that in your inbox today. Oh, and one more thing before we get started. I am wearing a freshly machine knit headband, and I was planning on sharing this with you kind of in its own little thing in the podcast episode. If you have been watching the channel, the last video that I uploaded was all about my first impressions and thoughts on the 48 needle Sentro knitting machine. If you have not watched that video after watching the podcast, definitely check that out because it might be something that is surprisingly of interest to you. Even if you think that you've never had any interest in using a knitting machine, definitely check it out. I think there's something of value there. This headband I have on here, I just cranked out on, I'm not going to go into great detail about this. I'm just showing you because just in case folks are interested, I just cranked this out on the 22 needle Sentro knitting machine that I just purchased. So I bought this with my own money. I'm still kind of deciding my thoughts about that, so I'm not going to really talk too much about it here, but I was really curious to see if it could make a really quick, cute headband, and it did. And so that is what I'm wearing on my head right now. Okay, let's go ahead and dive into all the hand knitting goodness. Okay, the first thing I want to share with you guys today, and I just think these are the most adorable thing, and I don't think it's necessarily because it's the most amazing mitten pattern. It's just a basic classic mitten pattern, but it's red, and there's something about little red mittens for children, and I knit them for my son who requested them, and I think it's just adorable. Now, I'm going to show these to you. They are finished, and they were gifted to my son for Christmas, and he's worn them a lot since, and so they are a little bit fuzzy, and there's probably little, one of the ends that I wove in on my cuff right here, I need to weave back in. It's coming loose, but there are little bits of grass in there, so it's evidence that they've been worn and played with or played in outside. So here they are. These are the mittens. I apologize for their rough nature right now because, like I said, they've been played in. They're starting to get a little fuzzy. This is 100% Merino Bulky by Fiber for the People in the chili colorway. I've had this yarn in my stash for some time now, and I figured what better way to use up that yarn than to knit a really adorable pair of mittens for my son. This is, you know what? It's by Tin Can Knits. I want to say it's called the World's Simplest Mittens, but I want to check just to be sure. So bear with me while I look this up. I don't know why I didn't have this in my notes. I'm always very good about having notes. Yes, the World's Simplest Mittens, and this is a pattern by Tin Can Knits. I will link to it down below in the description box. Fantastic pattern because it's great for busting stash yarn. She pretty much tells you how to knit the exact same mittens with any weight of yarn just by adjusting the stitch count. So it's a universal pattern. It's fantastic. I believe it's free, which makes it even better. And that's what I use to make Angus's little mittens here. I did a cute little Instagram reel showing how I boxed these for his Christmas present. I'll pop it up here so you can see it because it was I don't know, there's something about wrapping these in this adorable little Christmas box to put under the Christmas tree for him to open that just, it almost, I'm not like a cheesy, like over sappy person, but sometimes things like that, they get to me. And so after I filmed the video and I added the music to it and I was watching it back, I was like, this is a sweet thing, because the memory of making a pair of red mittens for your child, wrapping them in a box, giving them to them on Christmas, and having them bring joy to them. I feel like that's such a fleeting thing. And I'm trying not to get misty, but I don't know, it just meant a lot to me. And so I'll share that little clip with you here so you can see it. But yeah, I'm really happy with these cute little mittens for Angus. And here is how I wrapped them. Okay, the next thing I want to share with you guys are the socks that I talked about in my last episode of the podcast that I was hoping to finish by Christmas. My socks by Christmas. And we started the Socks by Christmas knit along, a spontaneous knit along where people could jump in and knit a pair of socks by Christmas. And wow, you guys came out to do that. And I thought that was so cool, seeing the hashtag come together on Instagram and seeing all your adorable socks by Christmas. I commend all of you that managed to pull it off by Christmas. I thought it was the coolest thing. My inbox was just the day before, actually 2 or 3 days before Christmas, and then on Christmas, my inbox was getting flooded with people submitting their socks by Christmas, and I thought it was so cool. So congratulations to everybody who managed to finish a pair of socks by Christmas. I tried, however, I did not get them finished by Christmas, but I got them finished by New Year's Eve, and I think that that is something to, you know, that's something to be proud of, I guess you could say. So here they are, my Socks by Christmas socks. I've blocked them. I'm not going to put them on sock blockers because they are pretty nicely blocked and everything looks nice and even. And I'm really happy with them. Now, they are a little big, and I kind of knew that going in because I knit these on a size 2 needle, using roughly the stitch count that I typically use. So I knew that that larger needle size was going to open the gauge up a little bit more and make them a little bigger. But I'm okay with that. I wanted them to be more like a house sock, not necessarily like a boot sock. And that, you know, it worked out really well. So I'm happy with them. They're super cute. It's just a basic vanilla sock. I've talked about my vanilla sock recipe before, but it's pretty basic. It's 68 stitches cast on, knit 2, purl 2, rib for about 20 rounds, and then I knit a straight cuff and stockinette stitch until it measures roughly 6 inches from the cast on edge, and then I begin my short row heel. I did the no wrap, no gap short row heel technique for this, but I don't think I did a very good job. I think that it's kind of loose and there are gaps there that I'm not super happy with. It has a real like Frankenstein's monster stitched up look to it. So I'm not too keen about how that came out. And I know that has to do with the fact that it's self-striping yarn, so the wraps are a different color than the remainder of the heel. So I get that, but I'm just not super happy with how it came out this time. And I think that's because I need to work on my technique. I need to work on my short row technique, and I actually need to reevaluate if this is my favorite go-to short row technique. I have mentioned in the past that I do really like this because of how easy it is to execute, but I'm just not sure I'm loving the finished work. So I don't know, I'm rethinking that a little bit, but they're perfectly fine. There's a little bit more gapping here than I would like, and I've sewn, I've kind of stitched the yarn through to tighten it up a little bit, but it's still kind of gappy right there. So I don't know, that's a little annoying, but it's not a big deal. Nothing I'm gonna, you know, it's not a deal breaker because I really like the socks, and they do feel really good on my feet. They're super cozy. Let's see if I can pop one on, you can see. But yeah, they fit me just a little bit bigger, I guess. I don't know, they look pretty good, right? They're super comfy. Yeah, I'll have to take a picture of them on my feet because that's not ideal, that whole situation that just happened there. But yep, those are my socks by Christmas, but by New Year's Eve socks. And here they are, finished and good to go. Blocked and beautiful, as I like to say. And this is all knit in Nomadic Yarns. Oh my gosh, you guys, speaking of Nomadic Yarns, okay. Ashley Aguilar, I believe that's her first name, is Ashley. She is the dyer of Nomadic Yarns, my favorite self-striping yarn company. Now, I don't know all the self-striping yarns out there, and it's like self-striping yarn is like meatloaf. Like, we all have our favorites, and we all feel like our favorites are better than anybody else's favorites, and that's beautiful. It's fine. She just happens to be my favorite. Now, I ordered from her when I bought this yarn, and the yarn arrived here at my home perfectly. Well, I ordered from her, I want to say like a few days before, like about a week before Christmas. I ordered another ball of self-striping yarn because I'm obsessed now. And for whatever reason, it got sent to my old address and it was delivered on the 29th. And so it's not here. And so today I drove over to that house and knocked on the door like a crazy person. And not like a crazy person, but you know, nobody wants that. And so I knock on the door. This nice person comes to the door and I was like, I'm so sorry. I'm here because I think I had a package delivered here. I'm like standing back. I don't want them to think I'm gonna like, I don't know, cough on them or something. And I'm telling them like, I think that something was delivered to you. And he wasn't so sure because the mailbox is not right out in front of the house. It's one of those ones you have to walk to. And he said he hadn't checked it in a few days, which I get it. So he was gonna talk to his girlfriend. I gave him my phone number, this whole thing. And that was today. I'm really hoping they get back to me because this yarn is like, you know, self-striping yarn is pricey and I really was looking forward to getting this yarn. So I'm fingers crossed that he reaches out to me. I don't have anything yet saying that, yeah, we have it, come and get it. I don't know. I don't know. It's frustrating, but these things, they happen. So we'll see. I'll keep you posted. But anyway, that is my pair of socks by Christmas socks in beautiful Nomadic Yarns, self-striping yarn. I will link or list the colorway down below. I can't remember it off the top of my head. And yeah, absolutely loving those. I will also link to the no wrap, no gap short row heel technique. I know some people ask me which version of that technique I'm actually using here, and I'm going to link to that version because I think I'm going to try a different version to see if maybe the way that it's worded is just tripping me up somehow. I think this is absolutely user error or like, you know, knitter error, but I don't know. If you've had more luck with this, let me know what it is that you're doing or if you've experienced something similar because honestly, like this, I'm stretching it so you can see. Can you tell like how open that is? Like to me, that's kind of like unsightly in my opinion. I don't know. I'm over it. I like the socks. You know, in fact, I'm going to put them on because my feet are a little cold. And why not? Perfect. Okay, cozy feet and we're ready to move on. Okay, now I have talked about this sweater already. So if you've been watching for the last few episodes of the podcast, you've heard me mention my sweater that I'm knitting out of Lion Brand Fisherman's wool. And this is, oh goodness, what is this color? I want to say this is called Birch Tweed. There's Lion Brand Fisherman's wool only comes in like 5 colorways and they're all kind of like natural colors. I don't know if that means that none of them are dyed, but I do know that they're all very inspired by natural colors. And as far as I know, they are natural colors. I might be wrong about that, so don't take that to the bank. But I'm pretty sure that at least in the case of most of them, they're natural colors. Who knows? Also too, I've been asked, is Lion Brand discontinuing Fisherman's wool because people are having a hard time finding it? And the answer is no, they are not discontinuing it, but I know what you're talking about because I've been having a hard time finding it. And I'm not trying to say that all the talk of Fisherman's wool that we've been doing here on the podcast and over on Instagram has anything to do with this, but I was finding lots of it at Joann prior to the podcast where I shared it with you. I don't know. No, it couldn't be my podcast. My podcast is causing there to be a run on Lion Brand Fisherman's wool. That's not likely. It's not discontinued, so never you fear, it will be back if it's not in your stores right now. And also to know that you can go on Amazon and purchase it, and I think they sell it in like packs of 3. There's a particular craft company that sells through Amazon, and they do a lot of these like sweater quantity packs, and you can buy like a pack of Fisherman's wool in like 3 balls, which is plenty to knit a sweater, even a much larger sweater, because it's a lot of yardage per ball. So I don't know, something to consider. Okay, so here is my Lion Brand Fisherman's wool sweater. I'm just referring to it as my Fisherman's wool sweater. This is kind of like a Frankenstein sweater, or Frankenstein's monster if you're keeping score. It is being patched together from a lot of different patterns, or like 3 different patterns that I've knit. So I did the neck, this like really lovely doubled over collar. This is based on the Magnolia Bloom sweater by Camilla Vad. And then the decreases, the shaping for the yoke, which is a raglan, is the stitch count and short row count of the Felix pullover minus the eyelets. There's no eyelets happening here. It's just a really nice straight raglan seam. And then I'm going to be doing no shaping in the arms. It's just going to be a straight arm with a quick decrease at the wrist to give it a little bit of a bubble at the end, kind of like how I did with my Felix pullover that I just finished. And then the body is going to be shaped like the No Frills sweater by Petite Knit. I think you decrease a little bit to bring it in towards the waist and hips before you start your ribbing, but maybe you don't. That was the only reason why I was mentioning the no frills. So I don't know. I'm not exactly sure. I'm probably just gonna knit the body like I would in terms of length for the no frills, and then the width of the hem at the bottom will also be a la No Frills by Petite Knit. So I don't know. I'm just kind of patching together some of my favorite aspects of these more recent sweaters that I've knit, and I'm really loving this so far. Okay, so some things are a little different than they were last time you saw this. When we went up to Winnemucca with the family for some winter fun before Christmas, I took this with me with the intention of making a big dent. I get up there and I start paying attention to my stitch count, and something is just off. And I couldn't really put a finger on what it was that was off. And it was just one of those things that was so frustrating that I'm like, I haven't made so much progress that I can't just rip this back and start over. And that's exactly what I did. I just ripped the whole sweater out completely, and I started again. And rewind, because all of this happened before we left to go to Winnemucca, the realization that it wasn't gonna work, the ripping out and all of that. So when I was packing my knits to go to Winnemucca, I decided that I was gonna pack a skein of undyed Surrey Silky from my undyed yarn bases for Fiber for the People, because I was thinking it would look really pretty to mute down the tweeds in this with a really lovely milky floof like Surrey. And I feel like Surrey has just this really lovely creamy softness about it that you don't get with mohair. Mohair is much more lustrous, more hairy. This is just more soft and subtle, and I thought that it would look really nice paired with just an undyed Surrey to go with the yarn. I did that. I did not change my needle size. I didn't change my stitch count, nothing like that. I just added the Surrey to the yarn, and I'm so happy that I did. Not only is it super, super soft, the yarn was really nice to begin with, but it is a more rustic yarn, but adding that Surrey just softened it up so much. But the halo and the way that the yarn looks is just so pretty. How lovely is that? It's so nice. And you saw me, here, I'm gonna stand up. Oh, so like luxurious and beautiful. So I'm really loving the fabric now. It's nice and soft and really pretty. And it kind of filled in a little bit of the gappiness that I was noticing in the fabric last time, because the needle that I'm using to knit this is just slightly bigger than what you would usually do for a worsted weight yarn. So there was a little bit of airiness in the fabric, and this adding that Surrey just kind of closes that up just ever so slightly, adding a little bit more density to the fabric. So I think it looks really nice, and it's just super snuggly, super soft and squishy, and I love it. So this is where I'm at so far. I just divided for sleeves yesterday, and yeah, so that's about how much of the body I have left. It's gonna fit me pretty loosely. I'm knitting this as for the small size of the Felix pullover in terms of stitch count, but because of the yarn that I'm using, I think that's gonna push it up to about a medium. It's definitely gonna be roomy. It's gonna fit like a nice roomy sweater almost. I know that Casey from Young Folk Knits is doing what is she calling it? The bougie sweatshirt cowl. And I think that's such a cute concept for a knit along, but it made me think of this because I feel like that's what this is going to fit like, a nice kind of like sweater sweatshirt situation. So loving this, loving the way it's coming together. It does shed on me a little bit sometimes, which whatever, it's fine. I love it. And yeah, that's it. Super cute. Can't wait to get this body kind of knit a little bit more so I can try it on and really get a feel for the stitch count, making sure it's not too wide. There is a part of me that wonders if it's going to be too wide in the body, if I should have casted on fewer stitches at the underarm. I casted on the number of stitches for the medium in the underarm, but the rest of the sweater is being knit to the stitch count of the small, if that makes any sense. And I was wondering if maybe casting on that number of stitches for the underarm was going to be too much, but I like my sleeves of my sweaters to be open. I do not like sweater sleeves. When you wear your sweater and you put your arm down, I don't like it to look like the sweater's like pulling up right here. Ow, punch myself in the chin. Because when I see that, it just, to me, it looks like the sweater's too small. That like part of the sweater sleeve that's like pulling up, you want that to kind of hang down a little bit when you open your arms. I feel like it should kind of give some space right here, because if it's pulled up into your armpit, that's just not, nobody wants that. Like, that's not comfortable. So yeah, I'm hoping that I get a little bit of room under the arm with those extra stitches. I don't know. We shall see. And I need to kind of figure that out soon because I don't want to knit a whole bunch more and then have to go back. I think it's going to be fine. I really don't think it's going to be a problem. You know what? Let's throw this sucker on and just see. Ooh, it's going to get hot in here. Okay, see, this is, in my opinion, this looks fantastic because yeah, there's definitely some width here, but I have the cable running through here from my needles, which holds it out a little bit. But once the sweater's all finished, it's gonna have a nice roominess to it, some nice positive ease, making this a really nice, snuggly kind of boyfriend fit, you know, sweater, if you will. And then I think this neckline up here being more structured and a little thicker is gonna be a nice contrast to what's otherwise a really relaxed fitting sweater. Loving this, thinking it looks fantastic. Can't wait to make more progress. All right, now this sweater is really living in the only project bag that I have that fits a really good size sweater like this, and this is my Magner Project Bag. You've heard me talk about this project bag company a lot. I absolutely love what they're making. I don't know if they were intending on getting into making knitting project bags, but they make some of the greatest ones that I've seen on Etsy. You can find them on Etsy. They're waxed canvas. They use real leather details here. Just really, really high quality bags. I'll link to that down below, but yeah, Magner, and they have tons of colors. So if you're into all the different colors, they have lots of different colors. So love that for a good project bag, for a sweater in particular. Okay, as promised, I want to share the winner for the Wool Needles Hand Socks by Christmas knit along. I have the yarn here. This is the yarn that I'm going to be sending to the winner. This is by the lovely Nomadic Yarns that I mentioned earlier. Here's the label. This is called Witching Hour, and that's actually the same colorway that I have on my feet right now. It's called Witching Hour. This is in 75 superwash merino, 25% nylon, 462 yards, 100 grams. That's called the Trusty Sock Base, and it's gorgeous. It's gonna make a really fun colorway. But before I do that, I wanna share with you guys some of the finished photos that were sent to me and that flooded my inbox around Christmas time, which I loved. So without further ado, here's a look at some of the finished objects from the Wool Needles Hands Socks by Christmas knit along. Okay, loving all of those. Can't wait to find a winner. We're going to do a random number, and I'm actually going to record my screen so we can do this all together. There are no emails showing here. It's just names, so no email addresses are showing in this particular folder. So I'm going to record my screen, and then we are going to choose a number between 1 and 27. There were a lot more folks making socks by Christmas on Instagram, but only 27 folks actually submitted it to my email, which is fine. But you know, hey, early bird gets the worm. First come, first serve, who knows? Okay. Hey Siri, pick a number between 1 and 27. The number is 20. We are going to count down 20. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Okay, these are adorable socks by Nadine. So that's the only name that I have here. I'm not going to share the email address here. And actually, oh, okay, Nadine Mullins. Here are the socks that you made for Socks by Christmas. How adorable are those? I love that green color. Beautiful socks. Oh my goodness. Nadine Mullins, finished in the nick of time, no blocking for these puppies. Socks for my brother that she started on Tuesday. They are from Australia and visiting family in Calgary for Christmas. I was so excited to visit yarn shops over here, and the first 2 we tried went out of business. Luckily, I remembered you had mentioned Michael's and found 2 balls of Patton's Croy. Thank you so much. These are Patton's Croy, and I love that. I would love to know what the colorway is because that is such a pretty, like, green stripy pattern. Nadine Mullins, if you are watching, congratulations. You are the winner of a skein of Nomadic Yarns self-striping yarn. Please get in touch with me. Send me an email letting me know that you watched the podcast and that you saw that you were the winner. If I don't hear from you in a few days, I'll go ahead and send you an email to let you know. But these are absolutely gorgeous. I hope that you had a lovely Christmas here up north, and I'm sure that you are back home in sunny Australia, and I hope you're enjoying a lovely holiday New Year back there. But thank you so much for participating. Thank you to everybody who submitted Socks by Christmas and joined me, helping encourage me to get my socks finished. Even though I didn't finish them by Christmas, I definitely finished them in less time than I would have finished them regularly. And honestly, I think knitting them 2 at a time really helped with that. And that's a whole topic for a video coming up soon. So keep posted for that. But anyway, everybody who participated, thank you so much for participating. It was fun. It's always fun to do little spontaneous things like that. So thank you. As we go into the new year, into 2023, I'm sure all of you are starting to think about your knitting plans and the things that you guys would like to work on in the coming months. And I've been doing the same thing as well. And actually, my next midweek ramble, which will be coming out this Wednesday, I'm going to be sharing with you some of my knitting plans for the remainder of winter and moving into spring. So definitely stay tuned for that. In the meantime, thank you so much for taking the time to check out what I've been up to lately. It's always lovely sharing with you. As always, if you took value from this episode or enjoyed yourself in any way, please don't forget to give the video a thumbs up. Definitely subscribe and click the bell icon so you can be notified anytime I upload new things here on the channel. Until we see each other again for Wednesday's midweek ramble, happy knitting, happy making, happy whatever it is that you're doing, and happy New Year. Take care, be well, and I will see you soon. Bye!